Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Accounting Insiders podcast. My name is Gary Dehart. I'm the publisher of Insightful Accountant and the host of the Accounting Insiders podcast. My guest today is Christian Jones, the CEO, right, of
Yes.
Tax Pro Marketer. Is that
Yeah, that's
correct?
right.
All right. So I was able to read your LinkedIn profile. So how about that? So here we go. So since we talked about the LinkedIn profile, it
Yep.
lists you as a 20 under 40 or CPA practice advisor, 20 under 40, and a CPA Academy top presenter. And
hmm
then last but not least, CEO of Tax Pro Marketer. So welcome.
hmm
Appreciate you spending a few minutes here just to
Yeah.
get to know you because we haven't met till
Yeah.
right now.
Nice to meet you,
So
Gary, and glad
yeah.
to be with you.
Likewise. So give a little history. You've been there for
Mhm.
9 years, right? At Tax Pro
hmm
Marketer.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm going into my 10th year now. I became the CEO of this company 2 years ago in the spring of 2023. And I didn't think that was honestly going to be the path that I took when I first started
Yeah.
here. Kind of an entrepreneur myself, started a few businesses and got locked in with this group founded by Nate Hagerty and Troy Lakey, and worked here long enough that they just said, "Hey, do you want to take the reins?" And so I've been here with my team, my leadership team, for a few years now, and we serve the tax and accounting space, as the name suggests. So tax pro marketer, not just tax professionals, but also CPAs, accountants, bookkeepers, advisors of all stripes, and so we serve a variety of slices of this industry, not just tax professionals, but we're kind of a done for you marketing agency. And so we'll come in and say, for a lot of our firms are 1 million in revenue or less or more, give or take, independently owned, smaller outfits that just don't have in-house marketing. They're not big enough for that yet, or, if they are big enough, they haven't cracked that code, but are kind of at a, ceiling where growth is just not really happening in the way that they want or not with the types of leads that they want. We certainly work with a lot of startups as well, right? We work with
Hmm.
startups, all the time, but kind of the main group we'll work with is someone that's, again, established and looking, how do they go from kind of the level they're presently at to the next tier? And we'll
Yeah.
come in and do everything, right? That's kind of our play, is just to grab it by the reins and take charge of an outfit's marketing. So that's a little bit about me. It's a little bit about who we serve and what we do. And yeah, glad to get into more stuff today with you.
Sure. And is your background marketing? Is that was
Yeah,
that the lifelong dream? I'm going to be
no,
I'm going to head a marketing agency.
no, not at all. Far from it. And that's just being honest. I mean, I went to college. I got my business degree. My dad is very entrepreneurial. He runs a large kind of nationwide, now nationwide, commercial snow removal and landscaping outfit that's been very successful. And so I've watched, entrepreneurial ventures since I was a little kid. My dad started his business when I was 5, and through high school, I actually still do this. Through high school unto this present day, I actually run my own retail fireworks stands in Kansas City. And so that's kind of how
All
I cut
right.
my teeth in the business world myself in early college. Is this was how I paid for school, and then that grew. And but by getting into tax pro marketer, I'm not a CPA. I don't have a background in this industry from a professional designation standpoint, but one of my first jobs was to get to know all of our clients, kind of being an account manager, client, liaison, and then also build our SEO strategy. So how do we get our clients to rank on Google? They had something going by the time I stepped in here. Tax Remarketer had been around for almost a decade before I got to this company. But there was a new wave of stuff with Google, and they wanted me to connect the dots with the clients on, hey, let's move this direction, let's put these things in place. And I fell in love with it. I absolutely fell in love with it. I loved our clients, I loved the work. And one of the things that really animates me, Gary, is seeing results. That was kind of my first hook into this isn't just a job now. This feels more like a career and like a calling. Was I felt like what I put together for our clients in my first days, where I was just working with Google on behalf of our clients, seeing what that did for their firms, seeing what that did for their businesses, and more just knowing the people, seeing what that did for them in their lives was really animating and gave me a really strong passion for improving our services, expanding our services, and eventually getting to oversee everything we do, all departments and all of our clients and how we serve them. And so really like that's been the hook for me, is seeing that, everyone wants to do something that's meaningful. I feel like what we do at Tax Per Marketer is deeply, deeply meaningful. And that's the most rewarding part. And that's a big reason why I'm still here.
Yeah, well, that's great. And a lot of changes right over the past 18 months with
Yeah.
your side of the business, right? Just from with search engines and AI and just everything that's
Oh my gosh.
impacting the businesses. Can talk on that just a minute. Like, so
Yeah.
we're gonna set a base here. So the base, our base level, we're gonna go with the knowledge level of, okay, I know I need to market. Let's say I'm a
Yeah.
firm owner. I know I need to market. I do, I have a website. It's probably terrible. And,
Yeah.
I send out some emails every now and then. Um, what would you say to me if I came to your booth and that's me, and that's probably a lot of the people y'all talk to at a trade show?
Yeah. Yeah. Most people we bump into, whether it's at a trade show, if it's on a webinar, if they find our website, they know they have a problem. They probably don't know where it is. Hey, Christian, I've got a site. I send some newsletters. I post stuff on Facebook. What am I missing? And what I would say fundamentally, it's a philosophical point for us. There's a lot of tactics too. There's a lot of like points of emphasis of, hey, you got to lean in here and handle this platform in a certain way. And we could talk about AI and some of the pillars of, different ways you can do things. They're changing, right? There's a lot of change in marketing, as you mentioned, and maybe we can talk about some of that today. But what I would say fundamentally is that marketing is relational. And if your marketing efforts and ecosystem in general are not built to cultivate a relationship with both your existing customers and your desired target leads, I think that's a problem. And so a lot of people have disparate systems that are more or less disconnected. Well, Christian, I put up something on Facebook and maybe on LinkedIn, and I've got a website with a blog post or two, maybe if I'm lucky. And I've got this email newsletter thing that sometimes I approve and sometimes I don't. Why is it not working? And it's because I think a lot of people in our space, they do feel the need. I know I need a website. I just talked with a guy last week that's like, he's doing well. He's doing well on his own. He serves actually his niche is Catholic schools. So we're talking about how he's broken into this niche of being kind of an advisor, CFO type for, Catholic high schools. But he's gotten to this place where kind of his internal network is tapped and the systems are broken. And even some of his incoming talent looks at him and says, okay, you don't have a proper website or your website just doesn't look great. And so it says something about him too, at least in the eyes of the talent he's looking to, bring on. I need to level my game up. And what I would tell them is we want to start with a system that gets you found by the right types of leads, but then starts a conversation with them. And so, your website's not the sum total of your marketing. Your website is not the only thing you need to address. However, if your website isn't first and foremost built to get found, and second, to start a conversation, that to me is a big gap. It's a huge gap. And what happens after you get their information is a whole, going down the marketing funnel, going down the relationship journey. I'm, a lead to now I'm a targeted qualified prospect on your calendar, and now I'm a customer. And that whole journey, influences what we do from the marketing side. And so again, tactically, what do you do with Google? How do you run ads? What should you do on social media? All of that's really, really relevant. And there's a lot of marketers in our space, out of our space, that know how to build websites, that know how to run a good social media post or ad campaign. Like, they're out there. We're not the only good marketing agency. But I think our emphasis on relationships is one thing that makes us stand out. It's what we do with our customers, and it's what we try and do on behalf of our customers with their customer base and their lead base. That's one kind of philosophical thing that I almost always run into. Always, that's a problem that we want to talk about and address.
So I'm going to go continue the role play a little bit. Well, okay, so you just said a whole lot of things that mean absolutely nothing to me. You talked
Sure.
about SEO, you talked about
Yeah.
trying to remember a couple of things you said, but look, I'm the best bookkeeper
Hmm.
or CPA in my region, and
Yeah.
I don't want to have to deal with all that stuff.
Right.
And that's kind of what
Correct.
you guys do, right? You take that burden
Correct.
off my plate if I'm your customer. Is that how that works?
Correct. Absolutely. I think any scaling business or business that wants to scale would also be a good, they're different. A business that desperately needs to find a sustainable way to scale, or one that's trying to build that into the, fabric of their being before they need it. Marketing is one of the first things you should delegate. And I do run into a lot of people that, and I get it, you're like, I think I can cobble it together. I think I can manage it and make it work until you can't. And marketing is one of the best things in business to get off of your plate, to get onto someone competent. And I will say, one of the biggest things we deal with when we're talking with potential customers for our company at Tax Pro Marketer, one of the things we deal with a lot is people that are really burnt out on marketing because unlike being a CPA, unlike, having to go through all of the testing and time and vetting and continuing education to maintain your license, being a marketer is a low barrier to entry business. It just
Yeah.
is. I mean, you watch a YouTube video and I know how to build a website and hey, I can run ads for you. And I see it. Like I am in a lot of marketing cohorts and agency groups, and there's a lot of amazing agency, groups out there or marketers out there. But the lingo or the framing, a lot of times is pretty similar between the ones that aren't as competent. They'll say the same things. Hey, you need a website. Hey, you need to do email. Hey, you need to rank on Google. And you're like, checks the boxes, right?
Yeah.
But the proof is in the pudding. And so having data, having case studies, having, I think, a good name, having an industry you dial in on versus a generalist agency, I think all of those things, if I was talking with a roofer, if I was talking with a plumber, I would say find someone in your niche that knows you and knows what you do. And our business was born out of Nate, our founder, cutting his teeth as a marketing director for a large tax group on the East Coast. So it was born out of being in this industry, being in this space, and being very integrated in this space. And so we get it. Like we understand who you are and what you need to do. And yes, you need a website. Yes, you need to rank on Google. You need to write emails. But I would say that a lot of the things that people may hesitate when it comes to a marketer is a very real reality. It's just that they've tried it before and it didn't work,
Yeah.
and having some semblance of like proof. Hey, tell me why I can trust you. That's one of the things I love to do is share stories, get our customers on our podcast, do webinars with them, and show data. I'm very, very driven by data because data and numbers, which is something that a lot of people in our industry will really resonate with, numbers don't lie if you're
Yeah.
being honest with them, right? Sometimes you can make numbers lie, but a lot of times truthful, honest numbers will tell the story on their own. And so, yes, you need a website. Yes, you need to rank on Google. But more than that, you need to have someone you can trust to put that system together. It's like trying to build a house on your own versus getting a general contractor to do it for you. You could probably
Yeah.
figure it out, but is it worth your time to really get into this when you're also trying to lead your business, lead your team? I would posit for most people, there are exceptions, but no, you should not run the marketing for an established, growing accounting practice. That's just not the best use of your time.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of things. One thing you said that really resonated, and that was talking about the numbers. And
Mhm.
we use HubSpot, which
Sure.
is, it's a good tool, but
Yeah.
it's a very big tool, right? And there's a lot of
Mm.
parts and pieces to it. Um, but we did a kind of a four-part series or sequence,
Mm.
and we sent it out to, I think it's about 600 people is about what it went to. Got about a 30% plus or minus open rate. We're
Yeah.
like, hey, this is pretty good.
That is pretty good.
600 people, four parts in the sequence, 12 clicks total.
Yeah. Right.
Now, of the
Right.
12, eight actually bought.
Right.
So that's phenomenal. But,
Yeah.
if we don't have someone looking at that and looking at that stat and going, hey, you sent 600,
Right.
33% said, hey, yeah, this seems
Yep.
interesting to me based on what you said in the title. But only
Right.
12 clicks total
Right.
tells you there's a message problem. To me, it's what
Right.
it tells me.
Right.
And accounting firms, most accountants didn't open an accounting firm to do marketing. Just like, and the flip side, right? Most small businesses didn't
Mm.
get into, baking cakes or running a bike shop because they want to
Right.
do accounting. So so I guess I'm sure you have many occasions where the accountant comes up and says, hey, well, why should I use an outsourced marketing? I can do it myself. Well, every small business out there can do their own accounting as well. It
Yes.
might not be very good at the end though, right?
Correct. And a lot of what you just said there, Gary, is highly relevant. Where again, like I'm going to the top of the funnel of, talking about relationships being at the, kind of center philosophical idea for us. But then going to the bottom, looking at data and interpreting data well is again something that should really, really resonate with our space. You're looking at different metrics for your,
Mhm.
especially business and individual clients as well, and trying to help forecast and understand the story. Building a narrative off of numbers is a skill. It's a skill. It's a bit science, it's a bit art, but helping a business owner feel comfortable with like, here's where things are at, but you're moving the right direction, and here's how I can tell you that. That's another huge gap in marketing that most people don't know how to do. They don't understand. They know they need to rank. They think they need to post stuff on social media, but what you just said even related to, what's your email open rate? And not only that, what's your click-through rate? And now you start to realize something I really believe. Most accounting firms, most tax groups, unless you're just brand new, but even then, I could probably make a strong case that there's something that I'm about to say that still applies. You're standing on acres of diamonds and you don't know it. Your existing customer base can be a huge source of both intel and opportunity. If you were, so one of the things we see, just to kind of frame this around like a bigger problem, one of the things we see is people come to us and they want to grow. And it's like, that's awesome. Yeah, let's talk about new clients and targets and how do we get you found and what do we do with Google and what do we do on your website? But the other thing that comes with building a successful business is keeping the existing clients you have. And so, one big problem with a lot of people's marketing is this I call it this problem of perceived indifference between the client base with their accountant. And this is all businesses. If
Mhm.
someone doesn't think you care, they're going to go somewhere else. And so even your data that we're talking about, Gary, it's you've got people that are showing interest, right? They're
Yep.
clicking or they're opening, but they're maybe not clicking through. And so maybe there is a messaging thing, but it's trying to think about that. How do I get someone to know that I'm the right tool, that I can solve a problem, and that I really care about them, both on the front end when they're considering me and later on when they're already a client? How do I stay in front of this relationship in such a way to add value over the long run? And that to us is another big part of marketing. It's ongoing, relational, value-driven content that we've seen a lot of success with, and we've done the entire time we've been a company. And that's a big part of it. So it's seeing the data, interpreting the data, but then it's also knowing what to do with that data in terms of let's tactically go this direction to solve that problem. So I love that
Yep.
data you brought up, and that's something that we also really want to highlight for people that are listening to this podcast is it's both getting the data and it's knowing how to interpret it and then make steps in the right direction to, like you would as an advisor for a small business, shepherd them towards the path they want to get to, whatever success
Right.
may look like.
Absolutely. Let's pause for a minute, and then when we come back,
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about kind of trends that you're seeing in the space, and
Mm-hmm.
then recurring marketing problems. And I bet there's probably three that every accounting firm has, or when you have that initial interview at a booth, there's probably, oh, I have a lead problem, I have a messaging problem or an image problem, whatever it is. There's probably two or three that are pretty recurring. So let's hit on those two things. All right, we're coming back from a brief pause. Christian had to change offices. And
Scene
if you're
change.
watching this, that's right. And if you're watching this, you'll notice now his background has changed, and now he's in a super
Yes.
comfortable chair. And
Yes.
prior to, I'm assuming you were sitting on like a stool or something. It seemed
This
like
is
it, like in a phone booth. Um,
greatly improved. A greatly
yeah,
improved
yeah,
setup. Yes, indeed.
yeah. For those who know what a phone booth is. Um,
Yes. Yes.
Actually, it's funny. I was out we were out at an event last week called GrowCon. I don't know if you're familiar with that
Yeah.
one, but
Yeah.
so we were at that, and on the way back, my son went with me. We had a booth. We did like headshots in the booth, and so he shot those. But on the way back, we flew out at night. We fished all day, flew out at night. So we had
Mm.
about a 4 hour, 5 hour layover or wait at the airport. So we went in the Delta Sky Club, and now they have these little phone
Mm.
booths, like
Oh,
for people to go sit in the phone. But they don't look very comfortable, but they're quiet.
no,
Um,
they are
and
quiet. They're nice and quiet. And our office has a couple of phone booths, and sometimes they get booked up, a
yeah,
double book. So that's what happened to me today. But it is fun.
yeah,
Yeah, I've seen them in the Sky Clubs as well. It's kind of a nice
yeah.
when you need it. It's a nice little amenity to have for sure.
Exactly. Yep. All right. So
Yes.
where we left off, we teased that we were going to talk about trends in the space and then marketing, kind of recurring marketing problems. Um, you want
Yeah.
to take either one of those first?
Yeah, let's go into recurring marketing problems. There's a couple
Yeah.
of really easy, low-hanging fruit ones that I can talk about, and this is something we're going to talk a lot about as we go through the spring and summer. So if you're ever on a webinar with us, on a phone call with us, these are really consistent things. So there's one, I want to do something tactical. I've done a lot of philosophy. I want to give one thing that's just really easy. Most people don't realize the importance specifically of getting a review on Google.
Mm.
You might know that that's an important, just, a principle that, hey, more positive feedback on Google, that's going to be a net win in the long run. And obviously, as shoppers and consumers ourselves, we commonly, whether it's Amazon reviews or Google reviews, Yelp reviews, whatever your search engine of choice may be, you leverage and rely on reviews to tell you a story before you ever talk with them. And in the psychology of how we make decisions, it opens up a lot of gates. If you have a lot of good reviews with a positive score, it makes a giant difference. However, algorithmically to Google, it's one thing that's not completely in the control of the firm owner, but in the whole kind of pantheon of obscurity. What does Google really want me to do? What do I need to do with my website? What do I need to do with blogs? How do I rank for different keywords? There is a lot of like secret sauce there, if you will. Like we don't know fully all that Google's looking for, but
Yeah.
we do know that reviews matters a lot. And so reviews make a giant difference on their own. They're not going to revolutionize your business, but when you have a proper website that has a good call to action, a good plan of, hey, let's start a conversation, and then a good follow up scheme, reviews are like gas on the fire because reviews is one thing I can give our clients a system, but they have to make a practice of, and again, it's like a habit, it's a rhythm. I want to ask my clients when they're especially happy and well served and taken care of, "Hey, would you take, some of that feedback you sent me via email or that you told me about over our phone call or how thankful you are that things landed this way and what I'm doing. Could you put that online for others to see? Because not only does that make a big difference algorithmically, but with the human side as well. If you want to attract more clients, like your happiest ones, the ones that you enjoy serving the most, getting those people to leave feedback that's specific to their situation, what you've done for them. So even like the content of the review algorithmically is actually pretty
Mhm.
significant. Again, it's one component of a very complex algorithm um, that we all daily rely on. But if you don't have a plan, and if it's not rhythmic and regular to get your happy clients to leave you feedback, it's just a hole in the bucket of your marketing. Because what we found, unhappy people will break through walls to leave you a negative 1-star review.
Yeah.
They will not be stopped. Someone that's not happy will do anything they need to do to let the world know how pissed they are. But happy people, they just kind of move on with their life. It's like, that was
Right.
great. Not many people pause and stop and say, hey, yeah, absolutely. I want to just take my time and log in my Google account and leave you a review. Now, they will do it, but you have to prompt it. You have to prompt it. And just hoping and praying that it happens is
Yeah.
not going to work. And so I run into tons of firms that have 4 to 6 or 7 reviews, and yet they have hundreds of happy clients and they're just not asking. And so
Yeah.
that's like low hanging fruit. Like when we onboard someone, it's like, hey, here's our system. We make it easy, but we're just going to ask them, hey, we love working with you. Thanks for your trust. Here's the, step you can take to leave us feedback on Google. That's one thing that's just, again, to be a little more tactical, to get out of the clouds. It's one easy thing that I can share with your audience that just really does, it does make a difference. It's worth your time or to get someone like us in place to make it, really rhythmic and systematized.
Yeah. And is that process pretty simple? Let's say if I'm flying solo and I don't have a marketing firm at this point, but I'm going to get one down the road. But until then, is it pretty straightforward how to get somebody to do a Google review?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, all you need to leave a review on most platforms is a login to that account or that platform rather. So a Gmail, a YouTube account, something that's tied to the Google, network, which is most of the time is just a Gmail. So some of your clients, if you're thinking about doing this, it's not 10 out of 10. Someone's not going to have a Gmail or they're a little bit tech illiterate. Again, it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
Everything about marketing is both relational, but it's also numbers. And so if you ask 10 people to leave you a review, the goal is not 10. The goal is like four or five. If you got 40 or 50% conversion of people that you asked to leave you a review, you're winning. So most of your clients will have a Gmail or would figure it out because they like working with you enough. And so it's a free Gmail to set up, but the system to prompt it is another matter, right? So this relates to your CRM. This relates to even account management. Because one thing that I would like our clients to have is let's call it like 4 tiers, right? Not all of our clients have this, but some do. Purple clients is the color we see most commonly and the one that we use for ourselves. These are your top tier raving fans. You've got to be able to identify those people and then do one of a few things, one of which is ask them for a review. The other is ask for referrals and maybe get them to be a case study that you can put on your website, right? Like you want to identify who are my top tier, happiest, best, will never quit and love everything I do clients. And then you've got green and you've got yellow and you've got red. And so your CRM is another big pain point. We have a CRM that we bring to the table. A CRM blends into marketing, it blends into sales, it blends into account management, of course. But your CRM should be set up in such a way that you can tag purple client, 5-star client, 10 out of 10 client, call it whatever your tagging system, whatever
Yeah.
your kind of nomenclature is going to be. If you add that tag, review requests sent automatically. It's not hard. From
Yeah.
my perspective, it's not hard because we use marketing software, we use automations, you've got HubSpot, same idea, right? Add a tags, things happen. But that's the part of like working on your business versus in your business that again, most people don't do. You're caught in the rat race, paperwork, unhappy clients, hiring people, people asking for time off, deadlines coming up. It's all the stuff that we all deal with. But
Yeah.
when you start to think about getting your time back, we start to talk about systems and related to marketing, both with sales opportunities, upsells, asking for reviews. Your CRM is something that should be an asset that you can rely on to automate and streamline things. But for most people, they've got tax software that's got a CRM, but it's not really built out well, or it's not really
Yeah.
functional. And again, some are better than others. But when I look at a CRM, again, I don't have tax software. It's not our game. So I hate recommending to people that they have yet another separate software. Sometimes
Right.
that's like a hard thing to sell people on. I totally get it. And again, some tax software is better at the CRM function than others. Um, but generally speaking, this is the part of like, slow down. What do you want the journey of your customers to be? So how do we take care of them? And how do we know internally, best we can tell, when someone is like in that upper echelon or at the bottom, where they need a couple of maybe touch points from you that are more personalized about like, hey, I've noticed this isn't going well, or you're having some negative feedback. Let me get ahead of that, right? Like you can nip some of that stuff in the bud if you can see it. So that's
Yeah.
another thing too, is the lack of leverage or the lack of use in what can be not even like crazy complicated, just simple automated systems to make your life easy. So yes, getting reviews should be easy, but it also goes to, can you tell who your happy clients are with ease? Because if you can't, that's also a thing that I would tell you, Gary, one of the lines that I'm starting to use more and more with our industry and with our clients, marketing doesn't always fix all your problems. Sometimes marketing actually reveals problems in your business.
Yeah.
Like I can get good leads for someone and then they come back and say it's not working. And as we dig in, what we find is actually that, you're an intuitive salesperson, but you don't have a good sales system. So we're bringing you these leads that are not just warm referrals hitting your email inbox. It's actually like a lead that found you and saw good reviews, but we've got to walk them through the process and you're not used to that. And so that's where
Hmm.
marketing, sales, CRM, automation, having a bigger picture of that relationship journey, it starts to connect with some people because that's where you find holes in your bucket, right? I can bring you good leads, but if you don't have a system to see the leads, know where they're at, and especially once they become clients, kind of know where they're at in your pecking order and what you need to do next. They don't have bookkeeping with me next or yet. That should be a good action for a tax client that has a business that hasn't brought you their books yet, right? You should be able to
Right.
quickly and easily see those opportunities. It takes time, but once you get it, it really can run itself, especially in the age of AI and the marketing function of AI. I know we talk a lot about the AI in tax. It's a huge thing. AI
Yep.
in marketing is wild. I mean, the
Yes.
stuff that's happening now is bonkers. And if you just aren't aware of what's possible out there, I think that you're going to have a lack of, efficiencies over time that will one, it'll just cost you time that you don't need to be using, but also some firms will figure that stuff out because they'll be serving their clients better and faster and more profitably. It's just a risk. It's a
Right.
risk to consider. So those are some things. It's kind of a smorgasbord, but a few things that engage with our clients on and provide systems and solutions for.
All right. So you actually froze where you said a few
Mm,
things. So
mm,
you were talking about
ah,
AI and basically you locked
yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah.
So
Okay. Can you hear me now?
yes, yep.
Let me try and regurgitate it. It was so good. It was gold. I don't know if able to do it the same way. I'll
Best
try.
statement I've ever said.
I'll try. I'll try again. Yeah. So with AI, as I was mentioning in the tax and accounting space, it's getting so much press. And I think our industry, because it's, focused on tax and accounting needs and function and practice management, is unaware of what AI is doing in the marketing landscape.
Yeah.
And marketing is a little bit, again, lower barrier to entry, a little more Wild West, and also incredibly functional and useful. And so if you're not thinking about AI in your, just practice management, right? How do I perform, work for my clients, serve them, et cetera? I think that's an easy thing to talk about. But then from the marketing side of it, how do you engage with new leads and existing customers? I believe that the firms that, again, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. You don't have to be at the bleeding edge of everything, but leveraging simple systems that through AI or other automation just make your life easier. I think over time, what's going to happen is you're just not going to like your business as much. Because the more time you can get back from tasks and processes that help you serve your clients and know where they're at, that's just time back in your pocket. And it's also clarity. I
Yeah.
love seeing that for our clients. I love knowing where our client base is at and helping them see where their client base is at. And then having the tools to say, now we can automate all the follow up, all the responding, all of the engagement. It's going to give you time back and it's also going to make you more efficient. And therefore, I think make you more competitive. And so we're in an arms race right now. And I know that, again, the tax accounting space is inundated with new tools and new softwares, and that's not going to change. And that's good. But from the marketing standpoint, I'm not sure that our industry is hearing and seeing enough about what you can do in terms of generating new clients, keeping them, and building relationship. There's a lot of stuff. It's not robots aren't taking over. That's not the talk for today, but that is 100% becoming more and more. Every month, I see new tools where it's like, we got to get this out to our space. We've got to help people
Yeah.
learn how to use this. And again, not all of them, but just some of them. If you would just use some of them and take a step forward on how you engage in your CRM with AI tools, I think that you will, again, like your firm better, like how you work better, and eventually, again, develop that competitive edge.
And I think too, it touches on not and I think I heard this last week at GrowCon and it touches on the value of your firm when you do want to go and sell, if that's your
Mhm.
end goal, right? I mean, if you're using desktop software and the old green ledger, well, you're not going
Right.
to be quite as valuable as somebody who has dialed in from a system standpoint, from a people standpoint, execution standpoint, and leveraging the current tools like AI
Right.
to
Right.
be able to get more from your day. And
Yes.
so, and I think the only way you can, I mean, I'm sure there's classes out there that you can go sit through on AI, but what I found, just get your free chat GPT and just start playing with it. I mean, that's how you really
Oh my
learn it,
gosh.
right? And
Yep.
then, and the more you play with it, then you get to the point where like, wow, it's worth the $20 to really make this thing work for me. And
Yeah. And, Gary, let me add something there that I think you might enjoy too. Have you read or heard of the AI Driven Leader by
I
Jeff
have not.
Woods?
Mm,
Okay, so newer book, and it's again kind of onto like how AI can make quicker forays and quicker progress in a space like marketing, because again, there's less red tape, there's less
yep.
bureaucracy. It's more of a Wild West environment where it's like the amount of AI tools right now, it's obnoxious. But ChatGPT specifically is not it's not a service we provide in terms of optimizing ChatGPT, but just as a freebie, the AI driven leader by Jeff Woods talks more about how to build a custom GPT is what it's called in the ChatGPT environment. So
Yeah.
that's kind of a unique thing. It's not the only AI platform that has kind of a limited in scope, um, custom, like let's call it an application of sorts. It's a certain function you can develop. But Jeff, I love how he talks about building your custom GPT in the ChatGPT environment to be a strategy partner. It's so helpful. It's so helpful to train this AI model. And let me encourage you, get a paid account. Don't train ChatGPT in a public way with your customers'
Yeah.
information, your sensitive details. Pay for an account because it'll automatically on ChatGPT not feed it to the larger, public environment where it's like learning off of your information. But using Jeff's book as an example, you start to get this thing to help you ideate and do vision casting. Like ChatGPT can help you write a better email. If you haven't used it on that front, yes, go play around with it. But if you want to learn how to leverage ChatGPT again, and that custom GPT is what it's called, in a really useful way for all parts of your business and your macro goals of whether you're going to go for a sale or whether you're going to try and expand, it's so helpful. It's so helpful. And so we use that, for our marketing agency. Of course, we use that on behalf of our clients. At times, we still write all of our own content by humans. That's really important to us. But AI can add a lot of efficiency. And especially from a higher level strategy standpoint, it's like having, I don't know, like a high level consultant in your back pocket. If you've trained it properly and if it knows what its
Yeah.
job is and you're feeding it good data, it can do wonders. So again, that's not a thing we do for our clients, but it's something that we're talking about more. We're seeing a lot of success on. And again, like you said, Gary, if you haven't just written an email with ChatGPT, go take some of your
Right.
long-winded emails. You've got to get out to a client on X, Y, and Z and see what ChatGPT can come up with because it's crazy. But that strategy level partner is something that I can really recommend. It's like that book is great. It's timely. I think it'll stand the test of time because it's not trying to be as like platform specific. It's more about the bigger, idea of how you can build a strategy partner with ChatGPT that I think is really worth people's time.
Right.
So
And
shameless
so
plug for Jeff.
there you go. And we'll call the one takeaway or one key takeaway is to use ChatGPT to request the Google reviews. Go through the process,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
because it is pretty fascinating, right? When you do go through it, especially if you haven't done it before, haven't really used it before, it keeps
Yeah.
prompting you, right? And it asks you, "Oh, would you like for me to do this next? Would you like for me to do that
Right.
next?" Yes, yes, yes,
Right.
yes. Now,
Right.
if you're on the free version, it runs out after a while.
Yes.
I had that. I was
Yes.
building a presentation and it got to, I don't know how far, but it's like, oh, you got to wait 6 hours and then come back and ask me to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
One of our
Yeah.
guys in the Philippines has the paid version, but all right,
Yeah.
let's start wrapping this up. So high level
Absolutely.
trends that you're seeing, AI we just touched on.
Hmm.
Um, what
Hmm.
else is, what else are you seeing trend wise? Are you seeing,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
are you seeing your clients getting more face to face or less face to face with their clients?
I would say generally less.
Yeah,
I would say
which is
generally I see
unfortunate.
people
Yeah.
niching down is a trend and going remote.
Hmm.
So not everyone, but certainly there's a push towards niching down in two areas. One is based on service type and the other is based on client type. So some
Yeah.
of our clients are like, I want to go for dentists, right? But some clients are like, hey, I want to be quote unquote advisory focused. And that means something different to everyone we talk with, right? Sometimes it's a blend of both, business, higher level business accounting, but also tax planning or other types of part-time CFO work, right? Like it just depends on who you're talking to. And that's great. Like that's not a bad thing at all. But when you start to refine whether it's a service type or an industry type, that needs to influence your marketing. It has to. And so that's connecting the dots with, again, like strategy, upper level strategy down to marketing. What's our actual ecosystem? Is it going to produce those results? Are we going to engage with and nurture those types of leads that either need this service or are from this space? And if not, how do we get there? What do we need to do to put things in place to make that a reality? Um, and I'd say that's a common thing where like we are a marketing agency. Like it's a, hey, give me the job and push go. But a lot of times what we end up doing with clients is this kind of consulting work to help them figure out some of these answers to questions that they're kind of wrestling with. It's, where should I go? Some industries are too small for online marketing to be effective. It's not that they
Mm.
can't be effective, but like this is my example on that front. Years ago, this guy's like, hey, my main focus is lawyers in Manhattan of New York City that are focused on mineral rights. That was his thing. And he
All
had a
8 of them,
niche.
right? Yeah.
Well, exactly. And it's
Yeah.
like, hey, that's you do that. Go ahead. But
Yeah.
like we can't put a website and ads campaign in place to get that group because the volume is too low,
Right.
right? So you want to think about that. Like, who am I going for? What type of business do I want? Those questions precede marketing, right? Like, what clients do I like working with the most? I see a lot of people as a trend. Some of them still are in tax. Some are definitely way out of the tax space and have moved on and are just accountants. And that's great. But if you're still in the tax space at all and you're looking to move away from it, I think spending some time with a good consultant, which can be us, can be someone else, could be your ChatGPT, application you build out, and just trying to dream like, what type of firm do you want to have? And then bringing that to a marketing group and saying, here's where I want to go, make it happen.
Hmm.
It
Yeah.
really helps. It really helps to have that in place as you build out your marketing ecosystem.
Well, that's great. Well, I think it's a great way to wrap it. So,
Mhm.
last 3 things or a couple things. How do people find you guys? What's
Yep.
the best way to reach out to a Tax Pro marketer?
Yep. Absolutely. So you can go to our website and engage with us, taxpromarketer.com. We do way more than tax. We kind of mentioned that already. We serve lots of people in the accounting, bookkeeping, and tax resolution space. And we also have a direct link to talk2tpm.com. And you can go there and just get a call with us. Just go right to it and fill out a couple of questions. So talk to tpm.com. If you just want to get on our calendar, chat with us, that's your best place to go. And we're also doing some webinars here in the upcoming, couple of days, which maybe we can get this out ahead of time. And if we can't, we'll do more or we'll do recordings where we're going to make some offers, especially early in the season here, early in the year, post tax season, just to give people a reason to give us more time. And that
Yeah.
sounds a little self-serving, but let me just tell you, the most successful accountants we work with are the ones that give us the most time to put things in place. End of the year, beginning of the new year is the busiest time frame for both new business owners
For
making
everybody,
changes
right?
for
Sure.
everybody. So the more time you give a group like us to kind of get in place, onboard you, and then put the thing in place you need, it would work better than if you sign up in November. So we've got some specials going on, and we'll probably put a link to our webinar, or maybe we can do a follow up later on for your audience at some point, and just say, hey, if you give us more time, we'll give you a deal. So taxformarketer.com is our general site. Talk to TPM is how you get a call. And we might put some information in for our upcoming webinars as well.
Okay. Yeah. And what about events? What face-to-face events are you guys going to?
We'll be at Scaling New Heights here,
Yeah.
in the coming months. So my team will be there.
Uh-huh.
I will not. I wish I could, but I will have some of my best top leaders there. They've been, for the last 3 or 4 years. So come by our booth. We'll be there actually under the banner of Advisor per Marketer, because especially in the scaling space, so many people are like, hey guys, we don't do tax. And we're like, we
Right.
totally get it. So look for Advisor per Marketer at the Scaling New Heights booth. It's the same company, it's the same people, it's just a different
Yeah.
orientation in terms of content.
Right. Yeah. Any other events besides that?
Yeah, we'll be at the IRS forums. I'm speaking at the AICTP event in July in Charlotte. We will be at, oh gosh, I need to pull up my full list. We'll be at a couple more events towards the end of the year. There's still a few we're looking at. But if you're in Orlando or Chicago, and I can't remember what the last IRS event we're going to be at is, but we'll be at some of those forums. There's again a lot of
Yeah.
advisor folks. They're not in that space.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely be at Scaling and we'll be at a few more. And if you're in the AICTP crowd, we'll be there as well and we'll be speaking at that event.
I am not familiar with that. What is that? AICPT?
AICTP, the American Institute of Certified Tax Planners. So it's a tax planning um, coaching consortium group led by
Okay.
Dominique Molina. Yeah, she's wonderful. Super great.
Yeah. I'm not familiar with that group, so I have to look them up. All right.
There we go.
Well, very good, Christian. I certainly appreciate your time. Sorry that you will not be at scaling. We will certainly be there, but maybe we can bump into each other somewhere. I'm in the Atlanta area, so
Yeah,
if you're ever down here, give me a shout.
I will. I will. And
All
thank you
right.
again for having me, Gary.
You bet. Appreciate it. Bye bye.
Okay, see ya.